Oh my god, that's hysterical. I figured we were either going to have a cat destroy Eric's computer, because that's usually how our
give us a minute. Yeah, don't give Houdini ideas. Radar
vibes.
is popping up here now.
The cat destroying computer vibes.
Fun story about that, because I don't know when they did it, but I have like some random old, because I'm an old man, I have like a random old DVD drive and some storage drawers just stacked on top of my PC.
I'm sorry, sir. What the hell's a DVD? I've never heard of such things.
I know, right? Some of that, then they're newfangled technologies. But
are they newfangled coasters for drinks? Is that what we use them for?
But I had my. I was like, why the fuck is my webcam skewed? Why is the cable so? Oh, you optimized the cables. Good job, Houdini. I don't know. I can't prove it was you. It was you, though.
I can't prove it was you, but it was you. So, where we last left off, the party, after regrouping back at the Prancing Senator after a series of investigations and walkabouts within Jrusar, it seems that we learned a little bit more about Professor Jalbatross's journey to Exandria and a slight connection with something that may have interfered with that journey, causing him to not be able to use the gateway back to his own plane of existence. However, the conversation between Lord Calion and Forn, revealing that he wants him to keep an eye on Bragsworth, a very flamboyant tiefling artist who is connected to the Greymakers and also connected to the painting that might have been a gateway to the Fae, or a realm linked to the Fae, after a Shimmerling had crawled through the void that had been created by the painting's destruction. Melody went out on a date, I believe. No, she's about to go out on a date, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm just shaking my head in disapproval.
Melody has a date tonight with Elith, the Inquisitor of the Platinum Dragon, as well as Eritrea, seem to once again exhibit a particular power of looking into things where they might have come from or might have been touched by other things of plenier existence, and saw the interference by holding on to the pendant offered to him by Professor Jalbatross. And Karina has officially solved the multiple Karina problem, as we now have Karina Prime and Karina. However, plans are in the process of hopefully having Karina Prime link up with Melody's sister, and turns out that Melody's sister, for the last few days, maybe even a week since her leaving the city, has been staying on a place called Rockhaven, a massive sauropod community that travels the Hellcatch Valley and the Ramadan Desert, that seems to be under the guidance and a magistrate that goes by the name of Puck. And with this, I believe where we last left off, it is evening in the main common room. Eritrea nearly collapsed from the interaction, or is he collapsed?
He was collapsing.
Yeah. And I think that's where we last left off.
Unconscious onto the floor.
Yeah.
That's my last note.
And I believe that is where we last left off. It's evening at this point, I believe, correct? Because we've all come back from our daily activities within the city. Believe leading up to this point, Eritrea. So Eritrea, you weren't consciously stating what you were seeing because you were having that experience and then you collapsed, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, that's what my notes have too. I just wanted to make sure I was right. Yeah, I think this is probably a good opportunity for this. Eritrea, everything is bright around you. There is no sense of where you are, no connection, no reality of where you are. Just an odd sensation that you've been here before. In fact, you've been here many times before. You feel a sudden sense of deja vu. It's a very kind of like bright copper and brass kind of shimmering light begins to oscillate around you. You feel a familiar presence and that familiar calm come over your mind. I've told you many times that if you reach into places like this, I can't always be there to help you. You watch as a feminine silhouetted figure that shows no distinguishing signs of characteristics, just a kind of bright silhouette, kind of like behind it, just huge bursts of light and sunshine, but yet you know you're not in an outdoor physical space. You have a sense that you've come here before, either on purpose or by accident. You're not really sure, but you recognize where you are as you look up to see Sarenrae staring down at you. Her flaming hand comes down, picks you up, and sets you on your feet, helping you back to your feet. Her huge flaming like head area where hair would be, it's just kind of flourishing beyond and above her shoulders. What were you looking into this time, young one?
Was some sort of amulet from the eagle god. The Birdman had it, Jalbatross. Do you know this, Professor?
No, I only know you and those like you. You have been touched yet again by something of power. You cannot so carelessly expose yourself this way, my son. There's so much left for you to do.
Do you know what I saw?
Well, while you're here, you're neither there or anywhere else. You are in the in-between state of death. A unfinished avatar such as yourself will struggle whenever you come into contact with creatures and entities of other planes of existence. I suspect another creature of divinity was commingling with your ability to see into the lore and understanding of an object that was in your possession. I guess I must remind you, because I know from time to time you may forget, or from time to time myself, I may forget to remind you as well. You have Sarenrae's vision. When you incorporate and hold on to items that are connected to divine presences, then this may happen. Although I think as you gain in strength and as you gain in power, Eritrea, that you will foster more protections about your ability to defend yourself. For now, you are dead, and we must remake the tether that has been severed from those below you. You feel yourself kind of swirl with energy, and Saren Ray's glow kind of envelops you. And then connected from like a thread that you can't even really see. It's like it's a silver kind of tendril of energy that kind of centers around where your heart would be. And it suddenly reappears. It wasn't there before, and it's back. You can see that the tether drifts down in to the darkness below you. And as you look down, you can see the ethereal plane out just kind of everywhere below you. You can see bright lights winking in and out of existence. You then see this Luxodon come out of the vapor. She appears to be druid in nature. You can tell by the way she's dressed. And she walks over and smiles at you. Her huge, like, adorned figure, just wearing vestments of both silk and translucent material. You could see that she's a creature of power, but you're not sure if she's manifest or if she's something else. She smiles at you, smiles up at Saren Ray. I will guide him back if you don't mind. Saren Ray just, even though you can't really see the details of her face, you could see a smile. You could see a warmth. And you could feel a warmth. Thank you. Keep this avatar safe. I don't know how many of these I have left in me. With the abandonment of Exandria, this gets more difficult, Sophia. I understand, mistress. I will do my best. You watch as the Luxodon takes you gently by the hand. Well, mind your step. And you feel the Luxodon guide you from wherever divine existence you were just in. You're pulled down into the ethereal plane. You hear voices. You feel yourself being nudged. You open your eyes, looking up at 4 individuals looking down at you with concern on their face. You take in a deep breath, and you're conscious again.
What in the hell's happened?
I'm just kind of at a... I sit up, and I'm just kind of in a daze.
That's your sister.
And kind of look around at everybody.
Maybe this is an Azamar thing? He passes out a lot.
I mean, he's normally pale, but he's even more pale than that now.
Do I sense
Translucent at this point.
Do any of us sense that he died, or does it just seem like he passed away? That he passed out?
For about maybe less than a minute, he wasn't breathing. He wasn't conscious.
Ooh.
He wasn't doing anything. You guys were trying everything you could do to revive him. And then after that minute, boom, his eyes opened and he was breathing again.
How are you alive?
By the grace of the gods. Literally. That amulet is major trouble.
I'm seeing that, young man. That was a bit of a harrowing experience for all of us. You most of all, I think. But, let's not do that again.
Did you
Oh,
see
yeah, by the way.
anyone? Did you see anything happen? Was I saying anything? Was I doing anything after I touched the amulet?
I honestly didn't see anything in particular. Just what did you see in all that? That was, again, you took it up and all of a sudden you just collapsed. I'm not sure what to make of that. I know when I went to the Wild Mother Temple this afternoon, a similar thing, well, not to the extent that happened to you, but something similar happened at the priest there, and they would not subject any of their acolytes to that, and rather forcefully requested I move along. I'm beginning to think that may not be the artifact I think it is.
As an emissary of like a death god, does that ring any bells to me? Like just his behavior, what happened to him?
I mean, Azamir are unique entities and unusual lineages. I mean, the only thing that you connect is the idea that whatever that pendant is that Professor Albatross has, something of godlike nature or divinity nature has interacted with it. And because of that, something has happened to Eritrea, which kind of confirms maybe a divine connection to his lineage as well.
Karina is just kind of observing him in disbelief.
Professor, I saw you in my vision.
That
I saw you. I was in some sort of demon form. And I passed along a pendant to you through a portal.
in a demon form. That's is that? I know very little of Azamar. Is that typical for you, or
Not typical for me, no. But I was in a hellish world. Truly, the pits.
Can I run an Arcana or History check on the description of this character?
You can give me religion.
It's a 9.
9. I mean, the description is surprisingly low on detail. Probably because he's describing a vantage point where he was inside the creature looking out, and kind of describes Professor Jabaltras on the other side of the gateway, and then his arm kind of plunging through the gateway and interacting, like he's got the pendant, he plunges through the gateway just as Professor Jabaltras steps in to the gateway.
That's very concerning. What do you want to do about the pendant?
We need to.
I
We need to. I don't want to jump and destroy it, but we need to figure out more information about it, because the world I was in was noting that the demons were used as cannon fodder, and that they were just been looked at as waste, and they wanted things to be different. And I'm worried they're trying to influence our world. Maybe this is partly what's going wrong with Jrusar. I'm worried what's happened with the professor here. But it was not good what I've seen. I'm wondering if there's someone we could get some more information on this pendant on.
So this is the second extraplanar object we've come across in the last couple of weeks. Perhaps we bring our two objects together and see if there's a reaction.
Professor,
We have the rock with the egg, right?
Kind of sounds like this pendant is bad news, though. Do we want it to interact with the other extraplanar object we have?
as disturbing as Eritrea and our acolytes friends' interactions have been, if there are beings trapped in a dimension, I feel it's my duty to hear them out. If they're innocent beings, they're not there by their own volition, I feel I should at least pass the message along to someone that may be able to help them.
it seems like
Go ahead, Prime. Or you're
Oh,
not
it's-
a regular.
Go ahead, Beta.
I
I
can't
thought
even-
you were Prime. I
I
love
just
it.
wanted to say it so badly.
I'm sorry, what?
He originally called you Karina Prime, and he meant to call you Karina.
Damn. I mean, okay, thank you for the compliment. I've been trying to be her for a while now. I was just gonna say the other object was full of creatures that are trying to go from one place to another to kind of destroy it, it seemed. Also, Professor, do you think maybe this is why you're stuck here?
It very well may be. I've had this on me every time I've gone near a gate, but again, I had assumed that this was something that Remnus had bestowed upon me. I don't know. I have it on good authority now that obviously it's not. You think he would tell me that, but that may have something to do with it. After we're done here, once I'm in private back in my rooms, I was planning on actually communing with him or whatever being is able to be channeled through my feather. So we'll find out there, but I don't know. I'll give you answers.
Well, we got a little time. I got 2 days before I need to go track down Bragsworth and follow him around. Should we do some investigating in between?
I think so. This seems. I don't want us to be in possession of this if it's truly what the vision showed me. We
Do
should find
any
out.
of us do you have a sense of why he gave this thing to Professor Jalbatros?
It's almost like they were trying to pass along some sort of curse to this world. I don't know why he was specifically targeted. Maybe because they want to influence his mind and his words, and he likes to talk, so maybe somehow his word will be spread. This word will be spread. I can't exactly tell why him, but these demons and devils feel like they've been used and abused, and they clearly want some sort of payback on our realm.
Did it feel like the shadow fell?
I believe it did, yes.
I mean, we do have one priestess of the Raven Queen, and I don't know how helpful they would be, but the Raven Queen is also based out of the Shadowfell. So maybe the priestess I met some time ago would have some answers. I guess I can go kind of ask her some questions. Does anybody else have any notion of how we can kind of pursue this trail?
What about Fabian?
What about Fabian?
I mean, he seems to dabble in all sorts of things. Perhaps he may have come across some similar imagery, being that, again, he has his fingers in a lot of pockets.
Well, if Ertreo asks him, I'm sure he'll find an answer.
I'm happy to put on my charm if it can get some more evidence on this.
Fine choice in words.
How about you, Professor? How...
I mean, personally, I'd also like to find out a little more from perhaps a secondary source about Kalion's obsession with this Bragsworth artist. I mean, certainly Kalion has an obsession with power.
I still need to go to my parents' house and see what's going on there. and also see how to get Reina Prime out of the city. Melody, how do you feel about helping with moving Karina to your sisters? I know you've been meaning to also talk to her.
Yeah, I'm happy to help with getting her out of the city. And it sounds like we could send a message as soon as tomorrow to her, telling her where we are and finding out where they'll pick Karina up.
Okay, that sounds good. Karina is also sad that Karina Prime is leaving.
Oh.
This always feels like making like brunch plans. Okay, so how are we organizing this? We're going where?
All right, Karina, D6 inspiration. That was pretty solid.
Yes.
That was solid fourth wall activity within the third wall too. At the same time, that was awesome.
So, what is everyone's priorities for today?
Well, it's early evening, so
my
it's like
priority is not to sleep tonight.
It's still early evening, so it's like the sun's only been down for about an hour because I believe Melody has to go to the windowed wall to meet up with Elith.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, it's still early evening. It's not quite late because you guys had just kind of come back from your daytime activities to kind of rally at the Prancing Centaur, and then came up with the idea of helping out Galbatros with the pendant, which caused Eritrea to have that vision and that situation. And all that took maybe about 30-40 minutes of your time to discuss it, and then that occurred. So, you guys are in the common room with the attached verandas, so you can hear the busy Fate Walks Bridge marketplace down below. But you also heard Binder close the shop, so it's that time where the shops begin to shut down, and then all the taverns, cafes, and all the eateries and stuff begin to kind of open across the Fate Watts Bridge.
Well, if Eritrea and the professor are free, I think maybe talking to the Raven Queen person, priest/priestess from earlier might have some answers, but it also might not. It might just be like an empty trail. And other than that, I can also just start sneaking into the house now. I can do it tomorrow, I can do it today. You guys let me know what's easier.
I would just like to drink somewhere and then go to sleep.
I respect that. I really do.
I'm going out tonight. I can meet up with you guys after, like around 11. But before then, I'm going to be tied up. Dressed and prepped, so you gotta do what you want with your night.
Eritrea dies again from embarrassment.
I'm curling my hair like as this whole Eritrea has been dying and being revived.
Like you suddenly went from this sickly pale to like a grotesque red color. What's going on here? Do you need a cold compress? Are you feeling all right? I mean,
okay. So, sorry. I need to mention this just because turn my cam off just because hubby's walking around like half naked, but like all like
yeah, thank you, Eric. We appreciate that.
Yes, I know, but I assumed like I didn't think he wanted that recorded for posterity, but like all the cats were like, yes, absolutely, we will all hang out with Dad right now. So I got Morticia in my co-pilot's drawer, and then I had Radar and Charlie both hop up at like the same time. I was like, oh, now you guys want to hang out? I get it.
jealousy.
Yeah. They're precious little tiny baby.
Oh, the cat patrol.
Especially this one on my shoulder, the cutest one. Yeah.
Right. Well, I'll see if I can get thrown out of the bar across the street again. That's usually my cue to come home. For now, we'll figure something else out. and I'll start off downstairs and head into. Can't remember the name of the tavern. There's like the tavern that was like basically across the square from where we are.
When you've been kicked out of like 3 times.
Twice.
Is
That's what I
this
said.
a,
Like that's the time I know it's time to go home is when they kick me out. Like
So- do you just have like a Wile E. Coyote shaped hole in the wall at this point?
I put the down payment on a new window every time. Like that opens my tab. I open my tab with the down payment for the new window.
Yeah, which tavern is that? Because you guys are technically. Oh, that's right. You guys are technically. You're across from the Weary Way Tavern.
Yep.
Because you guys are in the Lantern Spire that borders the Core Spire, right there on the Fate Walk Bridge, which is like prime location for, it's where everything goes on, because it's not quite the upper echelons of the spires, but it's, it's one of the few areas of the 2 major spires that are connected without people having to take gondolas to go back and forth between the different spires. So yeah, you're talking about the Weary Way Tavern, I believe.
Karina just looks at everyone, is like, he's definitely not just gonna go drink. He's gonna do something shady that he doesn't want us to know about.
Nah, I've already done that today. I'm actually just going to drink now.
I don't believe you. You're gonna get into shenanigans. I can feel it.
Getting kicked out of the bar are shenanigans.
Or maybe I'll give you a better chance of hanging around a little bit longer. I'll join you if you don't mind.
All right. I think you were with me last time we got kicked out, right?
Yes. Maybe I don't help that much.
Although I will say I'm in a bit better spirits than I was last time, so maybe we'll make it a little longer.
Okay.
Professor, do you want to go follow that thread and research that pendant you got there, or?
I was actually going to head up to my chambers and try to commune with the feather that I have. I feel like I can leave the pendant for another time. I'd rather try to get some questions answered by the god I was trying to contact initially. I only have a few things I can ask, but I may be able to shed some light on this. I'll give it a try.
That makes sense. Cool. That's okay. Nobody wanted to do what I wanted to do. No, it's cool. It's fine. I don't mind.
Well, I will say, you asked me to go visit the Queen of Killing Stuff, so
she collects the debts. She doesn't put them out.
Sure, right.
Okay, well,
And who does she collect them from?
And Karina tries not to look like too much of a sad sack walking alone down the street.
Look, you're more than welcome to come and drink with us.
No, it's okay. You guys already have a plan. I get it. It's okay.
Charlie Browning it with her head down.
Look. This plan is very fluid, right? Involving lots of fluids, hopefully. So you're more than welcome to join.
I heard an ew.
I didn't say secretions. I said
Oh,
Take away that D6 from there.
yeah, no kidding. Minus D6 inspiration.
minus 50 DKP.
Come here.
So Melody gets all ready and is heading towards the windowed wall. Eritrea and Forn are heading over to the Weary Way Tavern. Karina, where are you heading off to?
I'll go to the Raven Queen's temple.
Okay.
I mean, technically, you could take the pendant with you, right? Because no one's taking it right now, right?
Does Professor allow me to take the pendant?
Oh, yeah. The professor's just like, absolutely. And I really hope that my mic is on because I'm kind of pinned.
Yeah, it's on.
We can hear you.
Okay, I'll take it
Thanks,
with
Houdini.
And there's the giant cat on the kitchen counter behind Riot.
The stalker.
I'm just like expecting any minute for it to like pounce. Just
No, he only does
so,
that
Karina,
to-
you're looking at which priestess are you looking for, though?
I've been there before once, the Raven Queen's temple. There was just like one priestess hanging. Apparently it was like
And
a
it wasn't
small...
even really much of a temple. It's more of a kind of like wayward chapel building where she's kind of the only one kind of administering and servicing to those that, you know, are in the faith of the Raven Queen, correct?
I think so. I'll try to go there, and if I have time after, I'll try and spy a little more at my old house.
Okay. And Professor Jabaltros, what are you doing?
I was going to head up to my room and just kind of start trying to commune with one of the feathers.
With the feather of commune.
Yes, with my feather of commune, I'm going to use it. I might use it twice, depending on how my questions are answered.
I think you have 3, right, per day.
You get 3 per day if you use commune.
Right. Okay, I had down that I only had 2, but I'll take it. It's fine. I mean, what? Oh, brute alarm.
Oh, I love it when Karina goes rogue. She's so much fun when she goes rogue.
I was trying not to.
It's too late at night, Corinna. Like, you want to go there?
No,
Stay
I
up all
just
night,
drank
talk
coffee.
to
What are you
Raven
talking
Queen.
about?
Oh my
We have
goodness!
stuff to do.
Raven Queen.
So you had originally talked to Ithia, correct? Ithia, priestess of the Raven Queen?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. You head off in that direction, following your tracks back towards the upper sections of the core spire. It requires you to take a gondola ride that takes you off the edge of the lantern spire back up into the lower midsection of the core spire in a kind of more drab and not so well upkept section of the spire, like in a sense that it feels like it's been abandoned for a while. Not a lot of people in this section, mostly very simple dwellings attached to the spire face and people living very simple lives. And then tucked kind of in the backdrop of this old rundown small chapel that has a single statue of the Raven Queen kind of in the front of it to mark it as a location for those of the Raven Queen faith. You actually see the priestess, Ithia. She is out in the garden. She seems to be sitting on a bench and kind of reading. The door to the chapel's open. You can hear a couple people talking inside the chapel. There's a soft light on inside the chapel. She looks up and, oh, Karina, good to see you. What can I do for you?
It has been some time. I have come here because a friend of mine has been afflicted with a kind of curse, and we think it might be connected to an artifact that I would like your guidance on.
Of course. Allow me to view the item if you don't mind.
Does this feel like a private space?
It's just as private out here as it is in there. There's conversations going on in there. I would think that we'll be okay out here.
Okay, then. I will show her the artifact. But I'll be very hush about it.
Yeah, she takes the pendant from you, looks at it. Wow, this is interesting. Do you mind if I cast Identify on it?
Yes, of course.
She kind of, her eyes glow and she kind of plays with tendrils of magic around the item and the item glows itself. This is a device of scry. This is tethered to somebody else to keep an eye on things. I've seen these. These are false pendants, false charms sometimes. They will be touched with arcane energy that allows the original bearer of the pendant to be scryed upon more easily. Is this a pendant of yours or of somebody else's?
Somebody else who is a bit of a traveler, who has traveled between worlds.
Well, what's really interesting is the edge of the pendant is made of charstone. Charstone comes from only one place that I know of. Comes from the plane of Avernus, the first level of hell.
Avernus, who rules that plane?
Kind of depends on what you believe. I think they go by the name of Zarel. It's considered the gateway to the other 8 levels of hell. And depending on your belief in the 9 hells, depends on your interpretation of its myth and lore and its reality. But the makeup of this pendant and its use tells me that somebody from Avernus has given this to your friend with the intent of keeping tabs on them. For what reason, I could hardly speculate.
Are there any stories of discontent within that realm?
Oh, it is a realm of pure discontent. You see, demons and devils wage wars with each other there, each vying for control over the great bastion that hangs in the balance. Some call it the Bloodtooth Bastion, some call it the Ebony Bastion of Crimson. It's said that within this bastion lies a gateway and a guardian of that gateway. Zarel's throne room is within the bastion somewhere, and her control over the bastion allows them to control the gateway. But it's a gateway of control in the sense that they only allow certain things in and out. Most people that try to travel to Avernus find either secret gateways or other ways to access it so that they can be unseen by the demon lords and the devil lords that exist there.
Are there any
Perhaps your friend has traveled there already and just hasn't told you.
It is possible. He is well traveled. Are there any known gateways to there that anybody knows of?
I myself do not know any. Usually they're done in secret, or you could seek the services of a powerful mage to grant teleportation or planar shift to the realm. Most people do, like most normal people who live normal lives, choose not to go to such a place.
I fully understand why. It does not sound pleasant. This friend of mine has been traveling far and wide, but as of recent is unable to travel via teleportation. Do you have any guesses as to why that may be?
I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. Without meeting your friend and having more in-depth conversations with them, what challenge does he face? Is he unable to go back to their plane of existence? Is that their concern? If they know of a gateway, I suppose it would be worth an inspection to go and investigate and study the gateway that they're having struggles with and see if we can't learn more that way.
That makes sense. I also have one other question.
Of course.
A long family friend of mine has recently been unresponsive. And I believe...
Are they dead? Have you tried a healing potion?
Unresponsive to my long message, which
indicates... sorry, I was slightly confused.
Well, you're not
an unresponsive person usually means they're dead, but I understand.
Sadly, you are not that far off with your initial response.
Oh,
It seems that either she has been taken to another plane or she has passed on. Do you know if there is any way for me to commune with the Raven Queen and see if maybe she has seen her soul somewhere?
you're more than free to use the services inside the chapel, and use the white mask of the Raven Queen and reach out to her at the altar if you'd like.
Oh, thank you.
Do you have the ability of commune?
Not quite. No, I only have. Really, I only have the kind of powers that involve crushing others. None of the, floofy stuff.
Well, if you don't mind my helping you, I can channel the commune for you if you'd like.
Thank you. I would really appreciate that.
She kind of grabs you by the arm and walks with you up the stairs and then into the temple. For Born and Eritrea, you are inside the Weary Way Tavern. It's a little busy tonight. There's a little bit going on. Eventually, you find a table, sit down, the soft music in the background, people coming and going. It's gathering steam. People are beginning to show up.
Wave at the bartender or at the tavern keep to bring us a couple of ales. Look, I promise. Well, maybe I shouldn't do that. Never mind. Look, I always pay, right? Okay.
It's your amount of drinking that gets you into trouble, mate. Just look, you and your friend. Look, your friend's more than welcome here. But if I have to toss your ass out once again because of your behavior, we're gonna have issues. You understand me?
Well, look, I'm in such better spirits today, so perhaps we'll have a good day. Night, whatever.
See, you're already fucking up. It's nighttime.
Whatever.
Have you been day drinking? Is that what's up?
Not yet. It's been an interesting day. Let's put it there. But nothing terrible, nothing bad. I got picked up on a job, so here. And I just hand him a fistful of gold.
Oh well, that'll pay for all the times I threw you out. And he turns and walks away.
See?
Before you go, Tavern Keeper,
Yeah.
Have you seen a priestess Lexodon here this evening?
This evening, a priestess?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
Orange looking over at you like, what the hell?
Never mind.
Not particularly. Sorry. Wish I could help you.
No need to apologize, sir. I appreciate your time and your energy.
Of course. Well, you two enjoy your drinks. Can I bring you some food?
Sure.
He goes back behind the bar, brings a plate of just mixed things to eat, sets it in front of Eritrea. There you go.
Normally I'm the weird one, but that was weird.
I'm just wondering if a friend I know was here.
Loxodons are very large, big flappy ears. They take up a lot of space.
Yes.
That's why they have that saying, the 500-pound Loxodon in the room, right?
Yes.
So
yes, I'm aware.
Look around. Your perception may not be as good as mine, but certainly there are no Loxodons here, friend.
Well, maybe we had just missed her, and I could have caught her after she broke through the door.
Right. I'll take a drink of the first one. So what was that earlier?
But I'm frankly, it was It was quite jarring. I felt like I was straight in hell, and I'm worried about the professor. He's got some nasty juju following him around.
Well, it's not a dead animal that flies and speaks, so it sounds like we've got a couple with some strange juju, as you call it, following them around.
Do you think it's a coincidence?
You know, I've never been one to attract normal people, so you might be asking the wrong person if that sounds coincidental. At the same time, now you said you talking about some devils and all that. What was all that about?
There was a huge battle going on between them, and this one I embodied the demon, and he felt like he was abused and used, and like he was trying to pass on some sort of curse onto our plane, and he did so through the professor. And I don't think he really had any idea. It was right in front of his students. My hand reached out and dropped it onto him.
That is very weird, I must say.
It was terrifying.
Now, what is your connection with this?
Well, you know I'm an Azamar. I'm connected to the gods. And
So
any of these, it seems like any item that I'm attached to, or any item of divine origin, I get sent to that realm where the magic came from or where it was introduced, and it's some strange power that is granted upon me, but I don't know how often I can use it before my goddess says enough and does away with me before my job is done here.
what is your job here?
Well, my mother she believed in the best of people, and it sometimes hurt her. And I'm here to try to accomplish that mission and root out all the nastiness that has taken over Jrusar. And it feels like we're falling into another dark era. And I need to try to turn this around and figure out what type of demons are influencing this world that's caused it to become so chaotic and corrupt again.
You mean to tell me that your mother, the goddess, puts her
Yes.
faith in people?
She does.
Don't let too many know about that. You might have a problem. Normally, it's the people that put their faith in the gods.
Maybe that's a reason why people don't sing her praises as much as they used to.
Well, people always let you down. I've been
Not
alive
always.
for quite a while.
Not
I've been
always.
alive for quite a while, and I've let a good number of people down myself.
You haven't let me
You see-
down yet.
Give it time. You see, the Bright Queen, you know why she had a talisman, right? I used to be in her service. I say used to be because, well, I have a gap in my memory from about 10 years ago. And every time I find more out about it, I wish the gap stayed a gap.
Why?
I
What do you
find the
find out
man.
about it that
I find the man that I was sent to hunt, sent to chase down, sent to stop in his machinations. I became a part of his machinations. And I certainly don't have any memory of being a part of his machinations, other than when I came to standing at the top of the tower system, floating over the middle of the sea. That's the first I remembered in that time gap. So, you might often find me in a place such as this, trying to drown out any of them other memories that I might have learned in that time in between. But perhaps with the capture of our infiltrator, I may have earned my way back into her better graces. Certainly not good, but better.
You want to be back in her good graces?
As far as I'm concerned, I'm still in the service of the Bright Queen, whether or not she accepts the service I provide. I took an oath. I swore to her that I would do everything I could to protect the Fae. Well, the Fae is gone now. Well, so it's said. But then we find the Shimmerling a couple weeks back. And then Brightwing, speaking of this tree and their pocket of a dimension and not seeming to feel that the Fae was broken apart at all. So my task is set before me. And I feel it will be in due good service of the Bright Queen to return us back to the place which we came. Jrusar is a mess, but so is everywhere right now.
Isn't that a problem that's worth trying to fix?
What's your proposition? How do you propose to fix the problem?
Continue to gather more information. What I saw just an hour ago gave evidence of those that are trying to influence our realm and that may have already done so. If we find out who is behind all of this, we may be able to stop it.
Fair. At the same time, wasn't it the gods that were influencing everything here?
You could say that.
So, you're saying this vision of yours is aiming to supplant the gods?
Supplant in my opinion, the wrong gods.
Ah. I would be interested in what Corinna's take on the wrong gods is.
We don't need to share that information with her.
Well, in the meantime, let's see what we have going on here at the bar today. I know that the Chandei Quorum knows of our location and knows of our existence. I would prefer that they leave us alone, but I imagine they've got people set all over the place to keep an eye on us. So can I roll a perception check? I'm just trying to look around the bar and look for who doesn't look like they're from this area.
Yeah, give me a perception check as you glance around the bar after being there for a half hour without doing that.
That was a good one. We got a seat and we got into conversation, but that's an 18 plus 8, so 26.
26.
I'm very perceptive.
There is the crowd here is the kind of typical visiting crowd of the Lantern Spire, the Lucent Spire, the Core Spire, and the Airy Spire. The Weary Way Tavern has a reputation for being that kind of spot you come to drink, talk. It's also just a tavern. That's one of the nice things about it. It's a large tavern with a large bar, a decent kitchen. Brokem, a famous kind of barkeeper, Goliath, who carries the last name Strongjaw, which some people feel like maybe he just did that as a means to capitalize on the fame of the Goliath Strongjaw. But Brokem's a Goliath as well. So it creates this air of mystique, and this attracts a lot of different people. But the one thing you notice about everybody here is they're either talking, eating, drinking, laughing, just kind of having a good time. In the very back right-hand side of the tavern, sitting at a table with their cowl pulled very deeply over their face, is a very tall, slender figure sipping at a very thin kind of glass of wine. There's an uneaten plate of food in front of them. There's nothing distinct about them at all that you can see. And there's almost like you kind of rub your eye a bit, thinking that your vision's a little bit blurry. But every time you stare at them, there's a haze or a blur about them that may be keeping their features hidden from you in plain sight. You're not sure if they're staring directly at you, but without being able to see their facial features, they could be looking at anybody here and no one would notice them doing that. This person definitely gives you a unique vibe that everyone else is obvious, and this person is doing whatever they can to just simply not be noticed while sitting at their table.
Hale got to me pretty quick, excuse me. And I'm going to get up and walk towards the services, but I'm going to make my way rounding that table, nearing that table to get there. To try and get a better look at the person as I approach.
Are you being stealthy or deceptive in any way when you do this?
Deceptive, but I'm not being stealthful about it because I'm going to the bathroom.
Your behavior is more deceptive. Yeah, give me a deception check as a base to see if they pick up on the fact that you're walking by them.
Not that bad. That's 18. 13 plus 5.
As you walk by them, get within about 10 feet. You try to pick up an angle and see their face, but as you walk by, the blur kind of wraps. Like as you stare at them, the blur never goes away, even at a different angle. They're using some kind of magic to distort their physical features in such a subtle way that you can't see their face. It's just shadow and a haze almost.
Can I, as I pass by them, can I cast Detect Magic? So that after I've passed them, I'll cast Detect Magic and then kind of glance back to get an idea, get a feel of what's there.
There are 7 items that ping. There's a necklace that pings divination magic. They have 2 daggers sheathed on either hip that have evocation magic on it. There is on his right hand, on their right hand, because you're not really sure who or what they are, 3 rings that give off evocation, enchantment, and divination magic. And then the crossbow they have slung over their chair, which you notice because you're walking by, is giving off enchantment magic as well. And as you walk by, you see their hand come out and pick up the glass of wine and drink it, but their head never pivots or turns or sways. It's just this mysterious looking figure just sitting there drinking a glass of wine.
I'll go back into where the bathroom area, the outhouse, whatever area is, and when I get there, I'll speak through my token to Eritrea. Strange looking fella in the corner. I can't get a good look at him. Very blurry, but heavily armed. About 7 different magic items on their person. Compared to everybody else in the bar, somebody doesn't belong here. And then I'll fake my business and come back out.
Okay.
But I'll give time if I'll give it like a couple minutes or like a minute or two to fake my business and then come back out.
When you come back in and no real change, you come back in, you sit down next to Eritrea.
Could I try to drop a trinket on them?
Yeah. Give me a sleight of hand.
I'll trip over their chair or something on the way back because it's a full bar.
Give me a sleight of hand for the effort, and give me either performance or acrobatics for the false trip that I'll combine with your deception.
If only it was the roll double. I rolled 2 different die for each, one for each. Both were 8s. So, but hang on. No.
Critical success. Baldur's Gate gives you everything you want.
So you said performance or acrobatics for the
one, for mimicking as if you're tripping. Yeah.
So sleight of hand would be a 15 because I have a +7 there. But the acrobatics have +4, so it's 12.
The moment your foot makes contact with the edge of their chair and you start to exhibit as if you're tripping, you're not even sure where the hand came from. A hand shoots out, grabs onto your arm as if to mimic keeping you from tripping, and at the same time kind of spins you away from the edge of their chair so it prevents your sleight of hand from going off, like your attempt at dropping.
Like deflects.
Yeah, like he grabs you, spins you around, and they never like break a sweat. They just go back to sitting in their chair, and then psychically you hear a feminine voice. You should be more cautious, sir.
I'll turn back to the blur and like I assume a couple steps away now. My apologies. My friend and I over here.
That wasn't an invitation. You can continue walking, you clumsy piece of shit.
Fair enough. There's an extra seat at the table regardless. And I'll continue to casually stumble back through the bar over to my seat.
And like the moment you sit down, within a couple seconds of sitting down, and I would say Eritrea watched the whole thing. And for Eritrea, it looked like the blur blurred within a blur. Like it was weird. Like you could see that Forn was probably up to his shenanigans of trying to trigger a conversation with this person. But when his act went off, this person moved and shifted so quickly that they were almost like just, it was hard to like even see their movement. You barely saw what had happened. And as you two kind of lean in towards each other to like kind of about to have this conversation, you hear the door open and you see a familiar person come in to the bar. As you see Crimp walk through the door, he smiles in the direction of the shadowed figure and then starts walking towards that person, sits down at the table, and the two of them seem to be having a very quiet and intense conversation.
So, do I notice any features about this Crimp in particular? Because I know that there are at least 2 Crimps floating around here somewhere. Because
Give me an insight check for this one. See if you pick up on it. Yeah.
Oh, that's not bad at all. That's insights +5. That's an 18. 13 plus 5. Oh,
this is Crimp Prime. You can tell by the equipment they're wearing. That's the one thing that was very unique about the crimp that you had the conversation with in the warehouse, back in his workshop. He's wearing things that only Crimp Prime would wear.
I'll kind of lean into Eritrea. That's another high value target at the same table.
I don't know if we have the wherewithal to do anything about it right now.
No, I certainly understand, but that's two incredibly high value targets in this tavern across the square from our place. This certainly can't be coincidence.
Are you suggesting we light the place on fire?
If Karina was there, absolutely.
Not yet, but 1 second. I'm gonna pull out the paper, the parchment that the parchments that I got from the messenger bag, and for the map, the list of cities and ingredients. I want to copy that down real quick on a separate parchment and stash it. And then because we've met a crimp, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I found out that these documents belong to crimp. Try and use that as a way to insert myself into the conversation for a moment.
Good luck. I think that Shadow Man is already suspicious of you, but
so I'm furiously scribbling down the list of cities real quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I'll stash that one, and then I'll take the notes, and I'll approach the table again, like do the AC Slater chair sit, like I'll spin the chair around backwards, and like
as you get within 10 feet of the table, I need you to give me a intelligence save, if you would, please.
Ooh. My favorite kind of save. That's a 14. Not terrible. I rolled a 13 plus 1.
You
Not the
instantly get a headache. You feel a nosebleed begin. You hear that feminine voice in your head again. I told you to leave. As you take 31 points of psychic damage.
Okay. Oh, so that hurts. But I have a note. And I'll like pull out I'll like hold out the documents, and I'll hold them out so that like the ingredients are facing away, like the writing is facing away.
You watch as the woman stands up, never seeing her face. She produces 2 daggers that are dripping with like this greenish kind of ichor, and she goes to plunge these daggers into you without even a hesitation until you see Crimp's hand shoot out and grab her wrist. I know this person. Just a moment, dear. And she doesn't break like she just sits back down slowly. Crimp looks up at you. Dear boy, didn't we meet a week ago or so? You were in my workshop, weren't you? Your friend broke my window.
He surely did. He was terrified of you. Trying to get us out of there.
Oh, I assumed he saw a cat and scampered away. You know, Aarakocra are notoriously unbalanced and difficult to deal with. You're almost certainly better off not traveling with such a insecure species.
They do have short lifespans, so I assume that perhaps that's why. Now, pardon my interruption. My reason for approaching...
Oh, no. By all means. A private conversation with a good friend of mine here. She would dearly like to kill you right now.
I can
I
tell.
certainly hope that this interruption has merit, or I simply would just allow her to do it.
I'm just returning documents, sir. I was wandering through the Smolder Spire, found some ruins, was going through there, found a messenger bag hanging on a wall in an old burnt out shop. And within that messenger bag was some documents. I looked through the documents. I stopped at a tavern nearby, stayed the night there, asked around if they'd seen anybody in that area, and they described you. So I assumed that building that was burnt out husk at that point belonged to you at some point, and perhaps this was important documentation that you might produce a finder's fee for. And I'll set the documents on the table.
Give me a persuasion check. You get advantage because you're not actually being deceptive in any way. You're being truthful. So yeah, give me.
I haven't lied at all.
Yeah, surprisingly.
You know, that's nice. That's persuasion. That's a 24, 19 plus 5.
He looks down at the documents and looks over at his mysterious host. Yes, interesting. He reaches out and he folds them and puts them inside his jacket pocket. So you just happened to be in the area. You just happened to stumble across the tavern across the way, and you just happened to realize that these belong to me. Sounds a bit coincidental, I think.
Well, now, I didn't happen to realize they belonged to you. I asked around and suspected they belonged to you based on the information I gathered at the tavern nearby. I did just happen to be walking the Smolder Spire because I was avoiding people. You know, that tends to be why most people go to the Smolder Spire, is it not? Came across some ruins, wanted to investigate.
I appreciate the return of the documents. It's good to see you. And he slides you a silver piece.
Normally, I might take offense at that, but it seems some of the ingredients on your list may be used on your friend here's weapons. So I do appreciate that I'm walking away.
I could give you a second silver piece so that you have 2 for your matching eyes.
Yeah, see, I was going there. Yeah, I certainly I appreciate it. No eye trick this time. It's also kind of pleasant as well. That was a little unnerving, but good day, sir. And I'll step up and step back away from the table.
The 2 of them watch you leave. Do you go back to Eritrea?
I'll go step outside.
Eritrea, you watch as foreign.
But I'm definitely trying to play off like, you know, nothing's happened.
Okay.
But I feel like, ugh. But I'm walking like nothing's happened.
So you're going outside to have just a moment of like sheer panic puke.
Yeah.
What's going on?
It's definitely I'm walking out and then we get outside and I go, oh shit.
Professor Jalbatras, you head up into your room. Everyone's gone. Only Binder is kind of managing everything down below. Kind of the shop's closed, but Binder's always like doing the inventory and always restocking the shelves and doing what he's, you know, as an automaton, what he's supposed to be doing. You're in the privacy of your room. How would you like to do this?
I'm gonna start. Like the professor is not and has never really been a religious man, so he's just like, okay, what is it that I see? But Binder, my good sir, do we happen to have an incense burner and literally anything? A bundle of sage. I don't know how this is supposed to work.
The automaton goes over to a shelf and picks up a small copper censer and then picks up a small bundle of sage and brings it over to you.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Please be on your way. I don't need an audience for this, I don't think. So, Professor just starts lights the entire bundle of incense on fire and just looks at the stage just starts chewing on it. I don't see how this is supposed to work. Just sits down and the most comfortable position he can find, and then just pulls out the feather and just kind of goes like, "Ooh." Not sure how this is supposed to work.
And you're using the
please,
spell commune, right?
Yes, one of the spells on it. Yeah, one of my daily ones, rather.
Right. Contact the deity or divine proxy and ask up to 3 questions that can be answered with yes or no. You must ask your questions before the spell ends. You receive a correct answer for each question. Divine beings aren't necessarily omnipotent, so you might receive unclear as an answer if a question pertains to information that lies beyond the deity's knowledge. In a case where a one-word answer could be misleading or contrary to the deity's interests, the DM might offer a short phrase as an answer instead. And you've been under the guise of my communes before, so you know mine tend to be a little bit more creative and flamboyant based on your question. Mm-hmm. But we'll say, you know, you kind of light the incense on fire, you pull out the feather, and you darken your room in such a way that the incense sits on a stone edge of your room. You crumble a bit of the sage, you know, as an offering into the incense, and you're doing your best to think about this, and your awkwardness in it is almost kind of, to a deity, could be seen as kind of interesting, right? That awkward naivete approach to reaching out to a god, especially now considering most deities of the normal pantheon have been absent ever since the incident that had occurred with the death of a particular elven wizard a long time ago. But sometimes they talk to you, sometimes they don't. And this is your first real attempt to like put a full weighted effort into it. You've prepared the spell and you've got everything ready to go. The spell kicks in, the incense flares, and you feel the feather float out of your hand and is now floating in front of you as the spell is now active. What 3 questions are you asking Remus, right? Remy?
Redness.
Redness.
Yeah. First is, are you the god that responded to me by desperation?
Yes.
Oh. Ooh, that's a weight off. It did not come through a word. Oh. Okay. All right. Okay. Don't get ahead of yourself. Don't get ahead of yourself, Thaddeus. Oh, sorry. This is new to me. Is your lack of communication with me intentional? You've been communicating with me in a language I don't understand.
There's a pause. I explain nothing or very little to the faithful. Why should I explain anything to the faithless?
You chose me, didn't you?
Perhaps. The incense goes out, the feather falls back into your hand, and you feel and hear the normalcy of the room kind of burble up around you.
This kind of sighs. I knew this was going to happen. Just lights it up again.
Are you doing the spell again?
Yes, I got 3 uses for it.
I love this spell. It's so much fun. You relight the incense. The cloistered room darkens. The feather up in front of you.
Okay then. If I call on you in the future to aid, not in the commune. I understand the limitations of this spell. If I seek your aid in the future, will you be a little bit more direct for both our sakes? I can't do what you want without some indication of what that is. I do not speak bird. I speak a lot of languages, Bird is not one of them.
You watch as the feathers suddenly bursts with light, and you watch as a 6-foot tear appears in front of you. This massive feathered hand juts through the tear, grabs onto you, and pulls you into it.
Oh, what?
Well, this is hello.
Oh no, we've moved on. You are in a very different place. Melody. You're heading over to the windowed wall. This amazing veranda that kind of hangs out over the midsection of a spire. I believe you are heading over to.
Is it in the Lantern Spire?
No, it's at it's near the base of the core spire that looks out. It's the last level of the core spire before you end up into the wilds of the jungle below. And it's this incredible section of the spire that's this massive like veranda of windows and tables. And when you arrive, there are all sorts of people here enjoying what looks to be a pretty amazing meal. As you arrive, sitting at the edge of a banister railing that overlooks down into the jungle space below, you see Elith.
And I'm going to, as I'm approaching, use my channel divinity, otherworldly elegance. Just really want to make a good impression.
Okay. I mean, you're laying it on pretty thick, but why not? Eritrea doesn't have to know.
No, I mean, I think that Melody's mindset going in is like, this is a person she would kind of like to convert to the cult of beauty and fun, and it feels like there's an opportunity here.
Wow, I just wrote 6 months worth of campaign off that alone in my mind.
Nice.
The cult of beauty and fun. CBOF. Okay. There. It's been done. It's now fifth wall. And what effect does that have on you when you cast that? Like, what does it do?
Practically speaking, it just means if I'm rolling a charisma check, then I treat a roll of 9 or lower as a 10.
Gotcha. Okay. So if you roll that naughty natural 1, it's automatically a 10.
Right. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Melody, over here. I've got this table already. Over here.
I'll walk on over. She's already sitting at the table.
Please sit down. I've ordered wine and snacks for us already. I don't know what you like to eat, so I just kind of ordered a little bit of everything. It's good to see you. You look amazing. I mean, I get the feeling that you spent all day looking like that ever since I last saw you earlier today. Oh, sorry. Please sit. And you kind of sit across from her, and the two of you. What do you think? This place is amazing, is it not?
I know. This place is gorgeous, isn't it? And we have a really good view of the sunset over there. I just think this place is super pretty. One of the prettiest places in Jrusar.
What, I know our talk earlier today was more me apologizing and us getting to kind of know each other at least. I thought maybe tonight we could, I don't know, talk about why we're both here at Jrusar a bit more. And any opportunity to converse with so this is hard because I don't want to sound too pretentious, but did you originate in the Fae? Is that where you're actually from, or were you part of the great evacuation of the Fae and ended up here as a next generation of Fae, or?
I'm from the Fae originally, but I left when I was like super young. Political drama, the Fae is always really crazy. So we left even before the sort of the Great Exodus. And we've been living here in Exandria for as long as I can remember.
Very well. I'm from Vasselheim. Lived my whole life there. Sought the great silver dragon's approval for my pantheon, and been studying the idea of Behemoth for a long time. This is the first time I've ever been on a mission, a kind of leaving the proverbial religious cloister, so to speak. I was trained to be very aggressive when speaking to people of Jrusar, because I was told that the priestly orders of Vasselheim are convinced that everyone here is pretty much not good people for the most part.
So you were raised like super religious?
Kind of, I think. I mean, it's all I've ever known my entire life. I find it difficult to, interact with those over at the church. The father is, I think, doing his best here. I think he is very complicit in a lot of the activities that are going on here. Some of his wealth is ill-explained. Some of his notions of what he avoids talking about is obvious.
Mm-hmm.
And I fear that my journey here is nothing more than to please those at both the top and the middle that I am simply trying, if that makes sense.
Did you ask to travel to Jrusar, or were you sent here?
I was sent. We're never really asked. I mean, when you're given a position of Inquisitor, it is that first kind of opportunity you ever get to work for any of the Dawn Marshals. My ultimate goal is to work for a Dawn Marshal within Vasselheim and seek higher righteousness within the temple. I fear that I've been sent here as a test. What's the saying? If you live, you are hired. If you die, you are fired, I think is the way it goes.
Is that a common Vasselheim saying?
Yes, kind of. I think they're being a little bit sarcastic and implied when they say it. Unfortunately for me, I don't come from a wealthy family, so I couldn't buy my way into it. I had to actually work and do the study. I had an opportunity to join the Temple of Cernre, but I chose Behemoth because there's more places to go, more things to see. You can travel to Wildmont. You can travel even to the Shattered Isles now, since first contact was made with the indigenous folk that lived there. You can travel to Marquet. You can travel to Taldori. Her temples are everywhere, and I thought it would be a great opportunity. My greatest love of all, I'd love to see Singorn. I think that would be an amazing journey to make, and see other elves, and to see the birthplace and the place that kind of is the heart of elfdom within Exandria. But things are so different now. Ever since Ludinus was killed so many years ago, and some of the gods have fled while some have stayed, it's been a different world for people like me, I think.
For elves? Or for,
I think for the religious, those that still find truth in the divine.
It's so funny you say that, because I feel like everyone I know has some connection to the divine. It feels to me like it's everywhere. So it's so surprising to me that you feel so isolated.
Well, do you have connection to the divine? Do you feel its pull?
Of course, I commune with Suni all the time, and I feel her influence in my life. I feel like anytime that I'm laying a pretty song or walking through a gorgeous garden, I am communing with Suni.
That's a very good way of looking at it, I think. It makes sense. I find my faith very challenged in this city. I find the city distracting. It angers me at times. The fire that occurred over in the Smolder Spire.
Mhm.
That was beyond tragedy. The great funeral pyre that took place and the speech that was given. Rumor has it that Jaman Sa'ord is looking to save this city, but Jaman Sa'ord is not an entity of divinity. They are not someone that believes specifically in the divine. They are unique. Do you know who Jaman Sa'ord is? What they are?
I know a little bit about them. I think everyone knows a little bit, and I have heard them speak.
Jaman Sa'ord is very much in the litanies of the temples and churches in Vasselheim. She fought with Vox Machina on the day of Vecna's rise, attempted ascension, when the great Earth Titan nearly destroyed Vasselheim. But I think she did it they did it for the sake of their friends, and not the sake of divinity, if that makes sense. I think Jaman Sa'ord, well, I don't know exactly how long dragons live for. I know that they could potentially live a long time or have lived a long time. I just wonder if such a magical creature that's not attached to the divine is capable of understanding the importance of Jrusar and the importance of their own role in the idea of unifying Marquet under the banner of Ank'Harel. I don't know. I'm rambling. Of course, Vasselheim has a very specific viewpoint of things, and I'm here to express that viewpoint. But there are no ears. There are no eyes. There are no willing souls here to really establish Bahamut's temple here. I mean, yes, the father runs a small church down the way and offers up, but that was the time from a long time ago. Current Jrusar, I think, has become more, I don't know, lost, wayward, perhaps.
Has your pitch mostly been like this kind of fire and brimstone thing, or have you tried offering charitable services or sort of pitching the benefits of Bahamut? I feel like people are a lot more excited to move towards something than sort of like
There's
things really bad.
There's other ways other than fire and brimstone. I'm not.
Yeah, for sure. You know what? I feel like we could totally help you out at the Temple of Suni. There's a lot of fun stuff I think you can do, and also really bring people to your cause. I've been trying to start a beautification campaign at the Smolder Spire, which I think is picking up some steam. Some way to make that spire a lot less gross, a lot prettier, and probably a lot safer as a result.
You really believe in this, don't you?
Why wouldn't I?
It's almost as if everything around here is covered in the veneer of filth, but you're still shiny. That's pretty impressive. How does this place not get to you? How does this city and its politics and its crime and its back and forth threats with each other, how does that not get to you? How do you keep that noise out?
I think you're looking for the dirt and the filth because that's how you were raised and that's what you were told to expect. Which is kind of sad because it sounds like you love traveling and you think seeing sights is really cool. And I'm not looking for that stuff. There's a lot of pretty stuff if you look around.
I guess that makes sense. You watch as the server comes over, puts down a large tray of food and refills the drinks. As the two of you kind of just drink, eat, and have this back and forth small talk about maybe getting her to change her ways. Give me a persuasion check,
Okay.
Melody, for this effort.
I'm going to be... I think Melody's goal is like she's just trying to find anything that Elith is like actually excited about, and then like asking lots of questions about that. Let's see how I do.
That's fair.
All right, well, it is a 9, which becomes a 10, so that's a 17 persuasion.
17. So as you guys spend the evening having this conversation, as you try to convince and persuade her of your thoughts and efforts, Professor Jalbatros, your world is intense light, a bit of uncomfortable claustrophobia, and this rather large burst of energy around you, and you are back in your own plane of existence.
That was a bit overdramatic, wasn't it, sir? Oh dear God! Can I do a quick investigation check to see where I am in the plane?
You are in a place you've never been before. Sitting on this massive stone throne, an Aarakocran eagle. You watch as its form is well 20, 30 feet above yours in height and size. Now listen. I'm not sure what your problem is, mate. When you reached out to me, I heard your call and gave you the beginning of your own path to choose. Gods are not creatures that are going to keep you on a fucking leash and guide you from morning until night.
I haven't wanted constant guidance, but presumably you know what I did for a living, or like what I can understand, and Caw is not among them. I'm an academic. I am not a druid.
I cannot believe I'm being gaslit by another bird. Listen, if you stub your toe, I'm not going to intervene when you cry out for help. That's not how that works. You were in a very desperate situation, and your faith and your faithlessness crossed over with each other, and you reached out, and I heard your call. Now, your faithlessness, the lack of faith, is why you couldn't understand me. Now, what's interesting is I have been trying to speak with you on occasion, and I have not been able to do it. I notice there's an absence of something around your neck.
Oh, that pendant? Again, I thought that's what my holy symbol was. I mean, you couldn't have told me that. Your giant eagle god. I figured this tie tack, this pendant that I had, was probably it. I made an assumption. I'm sorry.
Yes, you are very sorry, aren't you? No, I don't know anything about that pendant at all. All I know is that when you wear it, you don't hear me. And when you're not wearing it, here we are in my realm, my kingdom.
Just the professor just like pinches the bridge of his beak and is just like,
now you can sit there and be as intellectual as you want and ponder the meaning of things. Now, what I can tell you is while the other gods have fled Exandria, I don't give a shit about that ball of rock and water. I care about my people. I care about the Aarakocrans that follow me.
Freedom. I thought you cared about freedom and preserving some of the the liberty of species. You were supposed to be a god of, well, the kids thought you were pretty cool from the books I was reading.
Gods are allowed to be whatever the fuck they want to be. That's our best business. We go the way of the winds. Right now, the way of the winds are badass wars and aggression. It's what people like right now. It's what we do. Well, it's what I do. I find it interesting. Fills the coffers. You seem perplexed.
You seem nothing like what I've read in all of the histories I've researched in the last several days, and
you want to hear a shocking revelation, young Jalbatros? I've never written a book in my entire life. Or shall I say, my entire existence. You see, when other people write books about you, they tend to be full of a great deal of creativity, nuance, and, shall we say, subtle bits of simile and metaphor. I tried to guide the Aarakocrans as best as possible. I tried to interfere and divine where my value is best placed. However, with the God Killer now walking the surface of Exandria, I find myself at odds with the idea of being too close to Predathos. Therefore, I find on occasion that those that truly deserve my, how shall we say, voice of charm, that this is one of those moments, young Jalbatros. I'm offering you some clarity as to what you know and what I can offer you, because I see deep down inside you a notion of maybe a bit too much intelligence and not quite enough blind faith. You get my meaning. And he leans down, so like his huge eagle head is like just filling your visual space. Now, spit it out. What the fuck do you want?
I want you to tell me what you wanted, and also, how do I get back here permanently? Well, you know, until my next expedition. I don't want to say permanent. I'm not ready for retirement.
Well, you're not quite actually here. You're in a thin space between here and there. And we're having this conversation someplace where I feel safe. It's not always going to be about you.
You mentioned something about a god killer? That piqued my interest. That sounds...
Oh, it's all the rage in Exandria.
Huh.
A group called the Bells Hells got involved with a bit of nuance, and one of their members now contains Predathos's sentiousness inside of her. She's agreed to keep it under wraps, and she's given the gods the freedom to live their lives for once, I guess. For me, I fucking love being a god. You do whatever you want, impress whoever you want, save whoever you want. It's the shit, my friend. Why would I leave it?
I just feel like pointing this out. I didn't. You're remembered as a god of eagles, like the eagle, not Aarakocran eagle, Aarakocra. Like I'm sure they're wonderful birds, but like non-sentient or semi-sentient animals. Like I've lived my entire life surrounded by other Aarakocra. I've never heard of you until 3 days. Until, frankly, you appeared in a vision and dropped a feather on me. So, if you're interested in Aarakocra, you have an interesting way of showing it.
Well, I find the species interesting. Now, granted, I'm in this form for your benefit. If I was in my true form, there wouldn't be much left of you to go back to. Psychic collapse is not a pretty thing. I don't think you want to spend the rest of your days as a gibbering bird walking around saying screwy things.
Oh no, that's good. I you say that, but I've seen some of my undergrads on a bender, so that's fair. I would not enjoy that. That's fair. may I ask? I don't mean this as a leading question. I truly don't. But everything you're always portrayed as much more of a god of freedom, someone who seeks out individuals trying to, which is fine, or a god protecting wanderers, which again makes sense. But you seem a bit more close-minded than I would have thought. I mean nothing by that. I understand your powers. It's like, well, as much as a mortal in my position can. Like, I'm not trying to insult you here. Just you seem alarmingly different.
Well, what should a god of wandering look like? And you watch as it immediately changes shape into a halfling with a stick over its shoulder and a bag hanging off the stick. He then changes shape again, and he's got red hair, red eyebrows, red beard, green cloak, and kind of, flourishes a martini and a pipe in the other hand. And you watch as he changes shape yet again, and you see this obvious, feminine figure, and then he changes shape again and again and again, and then goes back into his eagle form.
Okay. I assume I just misunderstood. I thought you were saying that you had only chosen. Okay, I misunderstood. Forgive me, my lord.
To wander is to be free. To defend yourself while you wander is to be free. To journey to places that other people can't go to is to be free, don't you think?
Yes, I agree. Again, I think I just misunderstood what you had said earlier, and for that I apologize.
For the first time in your life, do you feel not so smart?
Oh, I have that experience all the time.
True academic, then, aren't you?
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not entirely sure why I reached out to you. I heard your voice. It sounded like you were in a great deal of trouble.
I am. I would do anything to get home to my husband. And I have 3 eggs that should be hatching any day now. Giancarlo doesn't even know they're toucan eggs. There's no way he has enough fruit in the house for them. There's none at all.
I gotta be honest with you, young Jrusar. You intrigue me. Tell you what, here is a second feather for your taking. Good luck finding the gate home. It'll be difficult. Bye-bye. And there's an explosion of feather and light, and you are back in your place.
Albatross's god rocks.
Just immediately question. This is a feather. Come here. I can use it 3 times a day. What? Did you give this to me so I can do it 6 times a day? What?
You're saying that as you're tunneling Doctor Who style back into your world of existence.
Yes. I just want clarification. Why would you give me something that lets me talk to you 6 times? You clearly don't want that.
Well, you're not sure what the other feather does yet, but we'll sort that out once we figure that out.
Okay. Again, I seem to have misunderstood. That's all I need. Just.
I mean, again, that was very opening of Love and Thunder with Gore the God Butcher meeting his god for the first time.
I've had a lot of fun with building remnants. I've built him very differently. I feel like he's the yang to Professor Jrusar Ying, a very kind of
that's what
the
I was really going for.
The freedom traveler, the wanderer, and he's the one that makes sure that no one fucks with you while you're wandering, looking for what you're looking for.
Why I think we are both good aligned, but we could not be more different. Against my regular type, but also get to do random shit because it's what my god wants.
For you, I want to do curiosity. This one's always fun. Karina, you're inside the chapel. To your right, you can see 3 individuals quietly talking to each other, sitting in a small pew. The front of the chapel is the small altar with the Raven Queen statue mask. You know, it whether or not it has any direct connection with the Raven Queen, you're not entirely sure. This place is very small. Its offerings are small. You get the feeling that people who travel here and believe in the Raven Queen find themselves, here only out of convenience for the most part. You watch as she goes up to the altar. She lights a series of candles on either side of the mask and kneels and does like a quick offering, and then brings you up in front of the altar and has you kind of kneel down alongside of her. So, what shall I ask her?
Marina, if could you ask her if a woman named Marina, which I have known my whole life, is in her realm now?
Very well, I will ask her that. What other 2 questions? I can do 3. The first one being, has Marina crossed over? What shall the second one be?
How do I keep my other good friends safe?
I see. And what should the third question be?
Is there a mission she would like for me to accomplish?
The faithful always find their way into the heart of the divine. Hopefully she answers this evening. She casts the spell amongst the incense and some herbs in a bowl. She drifts into a state of just kind of quiet contemplation and mutters the first question about your friend Marina. And in a very different voice, you hear her say the word no. Which tells you she has not crossed over into the threshold. As she asks the second question about keeping your friends safe, she mutters a few words of uncertainty, as if that's hard to predict. And as for the third question, she simply says the word yes. And then the incense flares out, the smudge pot of herbs kind of fade, and she opens her eyes and looks at you. Was it helpful at all, I hope?
It was. Thank you very much.
You're quite
One
welcome.
final question.
Yes.
Actually, 2 final questions.
You use the word final excessively. You don't need to say that if you choose not to.
I will make note of that.
Okay. Just thought it was a bit odd because you ask a question, then you say a final question, then you ask a question.
I just don't want to waste your time, so I'm trying to put it on the timeline, but then I'm explaining the timeline and I'm actually taking more time, so I'm so sorry.
It's fine. It's quite all right.
The first one is, some time ago after the disaster in the Smolder Spire, Jamansa Org gave a eulogy and he referenced the Raven Queen. They referenced the Raven Queen. Do you know if they are followers of the Raven Queen?
Shaman Saord is a very unique individual. Dragons don't necessarily believe in the divine. They find their inspiration elsewhere, either helping friends or maintaining order where there's disorder. Jaman Saord was very much a saving grace of Ankarel. Without their involvement, Ankarel would have fallen into far worse condition than Jrusar, and would have been a very different Marquet, if you catch my meaning.
Yeah. Have you seen anybody, perhaps a shapeshifter with a strange bird.
Me personally, no, I have not.
Have you heard of any individual with a strange bird? Noticed a strange bird? Anything like that?
I'm sorry, my dear. I have no information regarding any of that. Is this a friend of yours?
As somebody who is impersonating a friend of mine and causing some trouble.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, but no, I don't have any information for you on that. But I will certainly keep an eye out in case someone crosses my path that matches that intent.
Thank you.
Of
Kind
course.
of respectfully bows, respectfully walks away.
You hear a psychic message in your head. Maybe walk a little closer to the tithe box on your way out.
I just okay. I leave a tip.
Ooh, she got you.
You drop a few coins, and then you hear the psychic message. Thank you. Where would you like to go next?
How late is it in the night?
I would say it's mid-evening at this point. Foreign and Air Trio have been at the Weary Way Tavern for a few hours. Professor Jabbletros is probably communing with like 50 eagle gods by now, back at the Prancing Centaur. And somewhere on the streets are two very drunken individuals kind of having a good evening, as Melody's been known to have. So it's mid-evening. It's not quite late yet.
Then I will transform into one of the forms I use less and kind of hang around my old home. And when I found an opportunity, I'm gonna just turn myself invisible and walk inside.
Okay. Thorn, you are outside of the Weary Way Tavern.
Right. That hurt. I'm gonna message again, Eritrea. Fucking with those guys was a bad idea, I think. I wasn't really fucking with them, but ow. I'm getting my shit together. I'll be back in just a second. Sorry. And I'm like looking for a trough, and I'm like splashing water in my face and
little KC2 on your mind.
And then I'll come back in and like strut over to the chair and sit back down where we were before.
And there's Eritrea with a big like half thing of pie in his face. Sees you come in and sets it down.
No, by all means, it's good pie. Don't let it go to waste.
But all right. I'm going to, just in case he runs into any other issues, channel divinity, preserve life, give him 25 HP.
Okay. Yeah.
Because he's gonna
he sits down and he looks
probably.
peaked. Like there's even still, even though he washed off his face, there's still a little bit of crusted blood underneath his nose from his nosebleed. But he looks peaked. He looks pretty awful.
Yeah.
So, Ford, did you get anything out of that, or just give him back what he didn't know you had?
So my intent was to perhaps garner some good graces, but whoever he is with is not to be trifled with. They talk to me in my head, but I don't think it's the same way that I can talk to you all. And then this all happened when I walked up. I'm pretty sure they would have killed me. Sounded feminine on the voice, but I'm not certain. But I'm pretty sure they would have killed me.
What do you think stopped them from killing you?
Oh, I don't have to think. I saw it. Crimp. Crimp stopped them from killing me. But only just barely. Oh. Now I'm concerned why Crimp is in the area. Normally, wouldn't think he would travel out of the area unless he was summoned. And whoever that is sitting across the way, I thought maybe I'd throw him off the trail by submitting the documents I'd found. Perhaps he may have been looking for something. But now I don't know.
Do you think it would serve us any good to offer them a round on us? For you disrupting them?
Sure.
I'm trying to think without being too obvious if there's a way to slip one of your talismans into a drink.
That would be
Would
very
that be
strange.
Just like a tooth at the bottom of the.
Yeah, some sort of. Yeah, I was wondering how obvious is it, and could we get away with that somehow?
Corn, do you think you could drape it just like, how much hair is in your talisman? Because it's just you're like, ew, there's a hair in my steak.
Yeah.
They're braided, so.
Oh, that's a lot of hair.
Rather than just
That's
being
a lot
like
of
a
hair.
random chunk of hair, like he does try to make them look nice. He ties them into like cool little braids, but they are braided hair. It's how he keeps track of what's what, though, too. Like he braids them all differently, so if he's handed one off, he knows what braid's missing. Actually, you know what? And I'll wave the bartender over. What's his name? There it is. Brokem. I wave Brokem over.
Okay.
I promise.
Yeah,
Brokem.
what the fuck do you want?
I
Are you
promise
giving me permission to
wasn't
throw you out?
starting.
You look hammered already.
Thank you. I promise I wasn't starting shit. I was returning found documents, but whatever.
I have no
Regardless.
idea what you're talking about.
Are those two frequent visitors? I've been here a couple of times, never saw anybody that high value
Oh,
in
what
your
two? What are you
establishment.
talking about?
And I nod
Point
over.
towards an empty table.
Where in the hells did they go?
Listen, mate, if you're gonna be fucking wasting my time with this nonsense, I'm just as liable to throw you out right now.
Apologies. Another
Yeah.
ale, please, sir.
Of course. Another fistful of coins, baby.
I'll dig in and pick out a couple and drop them.
Yeah, whatever. Drops them into his pouch and lumbers back over to the bar. Fills 2 ales, brings them back over, sets them down. They kind of like Air Trios doesn't splash, but yours splashes and gets a little bit on your chin. And there you go, mate. Good luck with your hallucinations tonight. And he just walks back towards the bar.
Can I roll an insight check against that?
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, one of those
Hey,
it was a good roll too. That was that's a 24, 19 plus 5.
Hey, he's easy to read. You annoy him.
Yeah, but I mean, so he it wasn't one of those intentional hallucinations. Oh yeah, I definitely know what you're talking about.
No.
I don't know.
He thinks you're balmy. He thinks you're fucking mad.
Cool. That's fine. I can keep that. I can keep that up. Eritrea, where did they go? I stepped out for a moment. I came back. They're gone.
Your guess is as good as mine.
I don't want to guess. I want to know where they are. Damn it.
Yeah, you're looking around the place. Give me a perception check if you'd like.
Yes.
You can give me one as well.
Nope. I've had too many to drink. That's a 10.
Yeah.
No, 11. I'm sorry. I lied. 11.
Five.
Yeah. You guys glance around the inside of the weary way, and nothing.
I have a +8 to perception.
Oh no!
I rolled a 3.
But
I rolled
I
a
rolled
2.
well on all my others, and then that one was terrible.
you guys have both had too much to drink.
Right? Well, they got different music in here tonight. Do you think they brought someone new around? Maybe I just don't remember the music. I don't tend to last long in here. Anyway, not much left in my tankard. What do you say we take off after this one?
Yes, I'm with you on that one.
Cheers. And I just put the whole thing down.
I just kind of stare, like I'm still staring at my full one after he chugs it.
Yeah.
Well, what are you waiting for?
All right, I
As
take it down.
As Eritrea and Foreign wrap up their drinks, Melody, you and Elith are about an hour into your meal conversation, and you get the feeling that you're definitely having an impression on her. You've lightened her mood. She doesn't feel nearly as upset and stressed out about the condition that she finds herself in. And you get the feeling ever since, clearly she overplayed her hand, back in that original time that you met with her. She seems different now. She seems more relaxed, more willing to kind of just join you in this idea of frivolity.
Mm-hmm.
How would you describe what you two do for the remainder of the evening? Because she's clearly been persuaded by you to hang out with you.
Yeah, I think if it's seeming like she's open to it, I think Melody would be like, should we hit the bar for another couple drinks, and then we get a couple drinks there, and maybe if there was some place you could go do a little dancing, or if that's too high key, we find a bar with live music and jam out to that.
Yeah. We'll say the two of you spend most of the mid-evening and late evening just kind of going to the Lantern Spire, the Lucent Spire, the Fates Walk Bridge, and all these different areas that cater to a nighttime crowd of people who enjoy the dance, the drink, and that kind of activity. Mm-hmm. In the midst of this, you're at a small place called the Cobbler's Edge. Mm-hmm. It's a little kind of like hole in the wall place where there's only about 12 people there. They're eating and drinking. There's a little halfling behind this little bar-like area, and he's either making drinks for people or making these little food samplers that they're eating at the same time. Mm-hmm. As Elith is up in line, I'll say both of you are buzzed but not drunk yet at this point. So we'll skip the con save, and because you've been openly wanting to drink and party into the night. So yeah, we'll say that the two of you are buzzed. Mm-hmm. You hear a message in your head. Mm-hmm. So you're not gonna know who I am. My name's Puck. A friend of yours, or she says she's your sister, needs to come and get someone from you. I'm putting an airship together. One of my pilots will be taking your sister to the Airy Spire, I think it's called, and picking up this person that you need picked up. Should be in 2 days.
Because Melody's a little buzzed, she's trying extra hard. She's like, okay, I think I have 25 words. What do I say back? Yeah! It's hello, Puck. Thank you so much for your message. We will meet you at the Airy Spire in 2 days. How can we identify you?
Oh shit! I've never been good at this spell. Nighttime in 2 days. You'll see the Rockhaven banner on an airship. Pilot's name is Marshall. Can't miss him. Big dragonborn fella.
Thank you. That sounds so awesome. We're so excited. We can't wait to see you guys.
And then no further response as you get that message. Elith comes over and kind of is tugging at your arm. Everything okay? You were talking to no one there for a moment. Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I feel like I have people's voices in my head like once a day lately.
Oh, that must be difficult to deal with.
You're not dealing with that all the time? Gods or other priests just kind of popping into your head to tell you something dire?
No? She gets this like concerned look on her face.
No, it's good. It's cool. Don't worry about it. Did they have the Cosmopolitans?
Yes, but they didn't call them that.
What'd they call it?
They called them how to get drunk very fast drinks.
Excellent.
Shall we walk the garden walks towards the Fate Walks Bridge, and shall we get to the next stop?
Yeah, that sounds great. Let's do it.
The two of you start drinking your drinks and walking
Take little
along.
drinks to go.
Yeah. I need a con save, if you would, please.
That's an 11. Is
The
it well?
two of
Is it
you,
a spell or is it just being drunk?
it's not a spell effect.
Okay.
The two of you are walking along, and you're maybe a good 5 or 10 minutes away from the main market area, because you've come across the garden walk, and you're coming up to the main market area that leads up towards the Fate Walks Bridge, and you're beginning to see the edge, but your vision gets blurry. And you hear a thud sound as you look over to see Elith fall to the ground.
No.
And as your vision goes blurry, you collapse to one knee and you kind of fall on your side. And just before you completely pass out, you see a couple figures come out of a nearby alleyway in between a couple of the domiciles, wearing like very, very heavy kind of iron boots. And you recognize like dwarven accents when they come out. Buddy, don't know about the other one, but this one with the horns will fetch a pretty penny. Let's go. And then you kind of pass out as you hear that happen. Karina, you get up to the area that you know your house to be.
Can I randomly pivot to where Melody is?
Oh, I bet you'd love to do that, wouldn't you?
Yes, please.
I will, because you never really gave me specific orders for evil.
True. I'll say evil is following. Can I say that evil is following Melody to make sure she's okay, or is that too specific?
No, I think that'd be fine, because the encounter that Melody had with Elith originally was very off-putting and kind of aggressive. And then there was a sudden switch in her demeanor. I would say that would definitely trigger Karina's thoughts about this.
Okay.
And I would even go as far as to say that as you're, walking towards the gondola that's going to take you up to the upper core spire and into the outer sections of the spire where all the families live, to get up to the Chandei Quorum chambers of the spire, you're like walking up to that gondola, so you could still see the Fate Walks Bridge behind you, because leaving the chapel or leaving the temple of the Raven Queen forces you to have to come back through the markets and the Fate Walks to get to the gondola that you need to get to. You suddenly hear evil in your head. The crow's crotchety old voice. Listen, mistress, I know you asked me to keep an eye on Melody. Well, her friend and her seem to be in a spot of trouble. They're currently being wrapped up in rope and blankets and
Jesus
being carried
Christ.
off by about 8 dwarves. They seem to be heading for the Airy Spire.
Keep an eye on her. Don't let her out of your sight.
You
Intervene.
got it. If I need to, should I peck their eyes out and take a poop on them?
Poop into the skull, and I mean it.
Well, that sounds very difficult to do, but I'll
You
try.
get the point, evil!
All right, I'm going after them. Just quit yelling at me. And he just like breaks the distant connection.
Also, I do have my I have my my new communication devices. I have both the book and the stones. I know the book I gave to Karina Prime, but I never said what I did with the stones. While we were retconning the past a little, is there any chance I gave my stones to literally anybody?
I'm willing to let evil go, but I'm saying you still have the stones with you.
God damn it, stupid stones! Okay, I'm gonna go there. Do I have any kind of... I do have, like, message of if I see somebody within range, but I just don't have message that is... unfortunately, I don't have message from afar. So I can only come in...
So are you heading towards the Airy Spire at this point to try to...
Yes, I'm gonna
Okay.
follow to where Evil said that this was happening.
That's fair.
And I'm gonna turn on our Kokra and fly there and go as fast as I can.
Okay. Air Trio and Foreign, as you come out of the Weary Way Tavern, are you going back over to the Prancing Centaur at this point?
Yeah,
Can't hear you. You're mute.
You did.
No, you're good, Ryan.
Yeah. I said, I was going to say, I don't know. Where are we going there, Trail? We going back home? We're going to walk around? What?
We want to see if Fabian's shop is still open and he's lingering around.
You want to go see Fabian late at night?
Don't get things confused. Yes, I do like the attention, but no, that's not that.
He punches you on the arm like, you dog.
You're like, as you two are having this conversation, you look, because I mean the Prancing Centaur is just like right across the way from the Weary Way Tavern. You notice that there's something in the window, and it distracts the two of you enough that you kind of look a little closer. The entire inside of your shop is filled with feathers, like the entire thing, from floor to ceiling. It's just filled with long brown and golden feathers. As you look up, the veranda starts spilling as feathers start spilling out of it. And as you look up the veranda, there's like a crack of energy. And you watch as Professor Jalbatros just kind of like appears on the veranda with a whirlwind of feathers. And he's like yelling, no, but why did you give me this other feather? Then he looks down and sees you guys.
I can't explain it.
Is Karina Prime okay?
I'm not sleeping there tonight. No.
You hear like somebody spitting. The door opens and there's Karina like waving at a wall of feathers, and she's like feathers spitting. What in the hell is going on? The entire shop is filled with feathers.
Like, at just point at the veranda.
What? Oh, it's
What?
gonna take me and Binder all night. And she plunges back into the feather wall and slams the door, and an avalanche of feathers just comes spilling out of the veranda and filling
my dear,
the street.
my dear companions, hear me out.
We are not drunk enough.
But a new series of artisanal feather beds and/or pillows. I'm just saying, waste not, want not. Literally the feathers of a god. I don't know what they do. I know 2 of them are very special, but I don't know. Look,
I mean, you
you
could
guys
market
want-
it as "Let your sleep be godly."
Ooh, it's pretty good.
Speaking of which, I bet you Fabian could make a wonderful dress or suit out of all these feathers too.
hats for days, exactly. The most
Oh,
fascinating
yes,
of
hats, of
fascinators, I'm
course.
sure. Yes.
Here,
fact,
here, and I'll take out the portable hole and like throw it up to Jalbatros.
Start scooping it.
Just throw it down and sweep it in the hole. We'll figure it out later.
Oh. So
So drinks, Fabians, whatever, right?
Yeah,
Professor-
would you mind helping?
Are you going to leave that to everybody else to clean up, or you want to go to Fabian's?
But Viner, could you possibly start sweeping these feathers into this portable hole for me? Oh, and could you identify this very special feather for me, very quickly, if you could, please?
You are asking a lot from that automaton.
The automaton takes the feather. There's an expulsion of energy from one of the gems as he casts Identify on it. Hands it back to you. It's a feather of healing, sir.
Ooh.
Once per day, it can heal you for 1d8 hit points. And as long as it's in your possession, you can, as a bonus action, heal a friend for 1d8 once per day. I believe it identifies
thank you.
itself as a feather of altruism.
Feather of what? I'm sorry?
Altruism.
I'm still not catching that.
I think it's
Maybe
altruism.
Altruism, yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, all right.
At that moment, the 3 of you look up to see an Aarakocra fly right over your heads.
Do I recognize them?
What's your passive perception, Karina? Because you said you were in a hurry.
Yeah, it's passive perception is 15.
That's actually pretty good. You definitely see a street full of feathers, and 3 of your companions, you fly over them as you're heading towards the Airy Spire.
Okay, I'm gonna message them. Melody's in trouble. Follow me for fuck's sake, fuckers.
And there's Karina in her. Because when you're in your Aarakocra form, what form is that? Like what?
It's an eagle, and it's the eagles from Lord of the Rings.
That's right. Yeah. And it just flies right over you in your head. You hear Karina's voice.
Melody's in trouble. Book it. Come on, move.
I'm sure I'm offended by that, but you know what? Okay, fine. It just takes off.
You watch Professor Jalbatros leaps up into the air and starts flying towards Karina.
Well, that's no fun. Come on. Like, we're running.
Eritrea's like, what are you talking about? His wings come out.
Just picks up my talisman. It's just like,
I zoom off.
hold
and follow
right
there.
Fuck all
Just like,
of you.
All right, I'll get there. It's one of those like fight's over and I'm running up at the end like I'm here.
Can I look back and see Thorn struggling?
I mean, he's down
I'm
like
not
in the
struggling, I'm
crowded
just
streets,
running.
making his way.
No, I've just been
you
like
know.
struggling to keep up. But like, oh right. And I'm gonna go ahead and summon Brightquill again, just to be like, would you
Like-
mind just
Yeah, like right in front of you, Ford, galloping alongside you, is Brightquill. Brightquill looks over at you. Evidently, you is offended by your lack of flight and would like you to ride me instead.
That's a strange invitation so late at night, but right. And like,
You jump on Brightquell and leaps up into the air. as he griffin wings kind of flourishing behind you. Air Trio's up there as well. Professor Jalbatros, Karina in her Aarakocran eagle form. And you guys are now coursing through the gondolas and making your way up past the core spire and arcing as fast as you can up towards the Airy Spire.
I'm going to go in and draw my rifle as well because I'm going to start, like, I don't know where we're looking, but I'm just going to have it ready to go.
Okay. You're still on your way there.
Yep.
Melody, you begin to groggily come to, and you are wrapped up in a burlap bag. You can feel yourself bound by hand and ankle, and the bag itself feels like it might be bound. And you're kind of set down next to Elith. Like you could tell it's her because as they set you down, she kind of grunts like she's coming to as well. You can hear dwarven voices. But we should do better with this one than what we got for the last one. I mean, these horns alone and what they do with the hooves. You gotta admit, these Fae are cash cows for sure. And then you hear another dwarf. Yeah, but what are we gonna do about the elf? I mean, I don't like stealing priests. It's not a good idea. That's all right. We'll drop her off in the Hellcatch. Just dump her somewhere. And don't worry about it. She won't have anyone to go back to anyway. There's hardly a temple here of her faith. No one's gonna fucking care. Why don't we put him down there with the other Fae in the cargo hold, if you would? You hear heavy dwarven boots, and they kind of very carefully, like, they pick you up like they're handling like porcelain. You know, they do not want to damage you at all. So they're very careful about it. And you hear their heavy footsteps across the wooden deck. You hear them going down a set of stairs into, and because you've got a burlap sack, you know, kind of bound around you, you can't really see all that well. But they haven't gagged you. They don't know much about you, you think, other than the fact you're satyr. And you have opportunity here if you want to try anything. The only challenge is your hands are not free. So I would say your verbal spell sets are available to you if it's verbal only. Anything else would not be available to you because you need to have access to your hands.
I'm gonna channel divinity again and keep that otherworldly elegance feature on, and I'm gonna be like, I can't breathe, the hood's too tight, take the hood off.
Yeah, give me persuasion on that one, if you would, please.
That's a 17.
17. Hold on, lass. Just a moment. Wait till we get you into your cage. And you hear this metal cracking noise, and you hear a grunt, and then some kind of like unruffling noise, and then you hear another metal cage open, and you feel yourself kind of gently placed down inside of this place, and then you feel the ropes around the sack are loosened, and the sack comes off, but your hands and legs are still bound as they set you down inside the cage, and they step out and close the cage. And you're staring at this dwarf. He's about as wide as he is tall. He's got these two huge axes on his back, and he's wearing this heavy, like, dwarven chainmail that's kind of very blackened and crusted with rust and age. Maybe he hasn't taken care of it. It's his face. He's got a left scarred eye that's got a scar running through it, as well as a scarred nose. It's almost like a big creature like just slashed him across the face and left a pretty severe scar behind, and his eye is blinded out with a kind of like gray finish to the eye. His giant head of black hair braided down into a very long beard that goes down past his knees. And you can see the remnants, like he has interwoven into his beard, curated pixie wings. They've been threaded and kind of woven in such a way it gives his beard this like glitter effervescence, because you would know pixie wings give off a natural kind of energy or magic about their existence. But they've been harvested. That much you can tell. They've definitely been harvested. He's flanked on either side of him are other dwarves, and you can see more dwarves going up to the top. You get the feeling you're inside of some kind of ship, and you can hear the sounds of the Airy Spire. So you feel like you're up in the Airy Spire somewhere. Give me a perception check as you look down to your right and down to your left.
Okay. That is a 13.
13. It's a little dark down here. You think they do that on purpose because they have good dark vision. You can tell. The main dwarf in front of you kind of whispers something to the other two dwarfs, and he kind of crosses his arms. You realize there's other figures down here, but it's too dark to see them. Some of their cages are kind of covered with tarpaulins. Some are not. You can see other individuals, though it's dark enough that they're just silhouettes. And they're in various stages of like, just, that kind of, given up kind of vibe, where they're just kind of all slumped over and feeling very distraught. You could also see up towards the front, there's a lot of crates of like food and other items for a long journey up near the front. Probably the most disturbing thing that you see, which gives you pause, is neatly stacked and cured in piles of leather fabric. You believe it's the skin of the Shimmerling that's on this ship. As far as you know, the only person that was in possession of that from the Greymakers, at the aftermath of the Shimmerling's incursion, Crimp had that. So either these guys know Crimp or they've stolen from Crimp. You're not entirely sure, but you haven't seen Crimp anywhere on the ship. You hear the dwarf, but he'll make a fine final option for this trip. Now just sit tight, lass. No one's gonna harm you, at least not yet. Certainly not me.
I'm gonna, because now I can see him, I'm gonna try to cast suggestion on him, and say,
what is suggestion verbal only?
It's verbal and material.
Yeah, which means you'd have to access the material with your hands to be able to do it.
Okay, then I'll cast command, which is purely verbal, and
what do you say?
Untie.
As you cast command, a small crystal up in the ceiling of the ship flares. He looks up. Nice try, lass. Don't you worry. We're not going to take your magic away from you, but we can't be letting you use it. Good luck with that. And he just kind of laughs, turns away, and starts, all right, lads, we got an hour till we leave. Make ready. And you watch as he kind of heavy trodden boot steps up the stairs towards the top of the ship. For everybody else, you arrive at the Airy Spire. Once here, it is a vast network of bridgeways, stanchions, and areas around you. Karina, you hear evil in your mind. I found us a nice little perch over here, mistress. And you look over to the left, and you can see a section of the Airy Spire that looks down into a couple different types of airships that are currently tethered to this particular section of the Airy Spire. Do you head over? You're on mute.
Did you see where they took her?
Well, here's the thing. Shit. Your friends scared me. They always scare me. But yeah, sorry. I think they went into that big iron ship there, the third one over. There's a lot of dwarves there. A lot of dwarves, mistress. I counted at least a dozen. All heavily armed, and they look mean as fuck.
Can you send me a mental image of what they look like, of what one of them looks like?
I'll send you an image of what the big bad looks like. He was nasty looking. And then the description that I read off to Melody is what evil kind of like mentally describes for you. But all of you are now gathered together like on this overlook, like this little bridgeway overlook that looks down into the base of the section of the Airy Spire that has a long bridgeway that connects over to where evil points out to this massive iron airship. It's maybe 200 feet long. It's got 3 center masts and these like heavy kind of metal iron flaps on either end of it with these obviously gradually warming up like broomstone engines that are beginning to kind of warm up and go through the beginning cycle of getting ready. You can see that they're pulling on ropes and sails are dropping, and you could see on the bridgeway about maybe 40 or 50 feet before where they're stationed at, where they're anchored to. You can see 4 heavily armed dwarves. 2 of them have these massive rifles in their hands. The other 2 are carrying these massive crossbows as well. And they seem to be kind of a guard for anyone that tries to come up the bridgeway directly towards the ship.
Do any of you have anything that belongs to Melody? Looking at their trio.
I don't believe I do.
Do any of us have something that Melody has given us, like a trinket that might have belonged to her or anything like that?
I did try to tie a ribbon on Evil's leg at one point.
Evil.
I would say it's still there. Yeah, because
Oh,
it was
check,
like
yeah.
when you were. It's like when you and Karina were doing the hair braiding on the veranda. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, I'm gonna take out my compass that I used to find Karina with and try and get an exact location for Melody.
You pull the ribbon off Evil's leg and you pull out the compass and you invoke, and as you look straight in that direction that Evil pointed out, 3 levels down inside of that iron vessel that you're staring at, Karina is there. You can see that she's alive, she's moving. You get the sense that she's okay, but you get the sense she's also trapped as well. As you guys, everyone give me perception checks as you examine the vessel that Karina is currently focused on.
19.
Okay. You're still mute there, Kurt.
Sorry, 16.
16? Okay.
That was me thinking out loud. You can go that 6.
6?
7 minus 1.
Oh, no.
Karina, what do you get?
Oh,
This all seems fine.
sorry, I thought it was for everybody else because I was doing that. What
Well, no,
was-
you also get perception as well because the compass is still part of your perception.
That's a nat 1. No, sorry, that's a 12. That's 12.
Well, okay. Who got the 19?
Me.
Air Trio?
I'll get this right one of these days.
Air Trios, you are obviously concerned for Melody's safety. You've learned a few tricks from Foreign, and something that Foreign does pretty well is like focus on the things that look obvious and don't look obvious. Like you get the feeling that Foreign, picked up on the people in the tavern in such a way because he was looking for something that just didn't seem right or seemed out of step. You look down towards the deck of the ship, and that's when you see it on the opposite side of the ship. This vessel is like tethered in such a way that it's really close to the other vessel that's tethered opposite of it. You could see a couple open cannonways on the other ship. You get the feeling that if you guys sneak onto the other ship, that might be a way of getting either into or onto secretly onto the ironbound ship. And in fact, you call it ironbound because in great block letters along the rear of the ship, it says iron, and then right below it, bound.
All right. I kind of wave to everybody and say, "You guys got to follow me," and kind of swoop down to try to go around. Where's Foreign at in this whole?
He's
I'm
riding
on the
right
back
wing.
of Brightwing.
Right
Okay,
wing.
okay. Great. So I just try to wave them to follow me. It's all I found a way around.
Yeah.
Uh,
If we get close enough, where's Melody on the ship? Did you tell us that, Tally?
yes. You all see exactly where she is.
If we get close enough, I can try and. I mean, if we get within 30 feet, I can try and pop onto the ship there and have us 1 on the inside, 3 on the outside.
I have invisibility, ride the rift, which gives me the ability to appear within 60 feet. I think so long as I see it, though. And it definitely causes a lot of ruckus. And Crown of Madness, which, if it succeeds, we can at least get the dwarves to be distracted.
Well, if I can see inside a gunwale, or through a window or something on that deck, I can get inside there.
That sounds like a good plan.
Yeah.
I think of the 4 of us remaining, I'm perhaps the most stealthily equipped.
I
Yep.
More so than me, I would imagine. Yes.
Okay, so let's try and get into the Ironbound boat. Does the Ironbound boat seem like it would be easy to get onto, or do we need to do
No,
some?
it looks like a tough nut to crack because from your vantage point looking down, there's 4 guards on the gangway that leads up towards the Ironbound. There's at least 8 dwarves on the deck of the ship. You get the feeling there could be more inside.
Oh, sorry, I meant the other ship, the one that was.
Oh, the other ship? The other ship looks buttoned up and abandoned. It looks like it's been tethered there for a while.
Okay. We should try and go in 2 groups, I guess, so if we encounter a trap, we're not all incapacitated. I can be on Team Distraction if Forn and I believe Erdro would probably be good for that, to be on Team Distraction and Extraction.
I believe
Professor Jalbatros would also be a good distraction maker.
If I can get to Melody on the inside, we've got our team on the inside there. I just got to get it free, and that shouldn't be as difficult. But it's the outside part, getting outside.
Yeah. I think we might need to cause a distraction attempting to get onto the ship while Form tries to extract her.
Although, if there's something to blow up on the ship, I'm sure I can find it.
I believe that you do. I believe in you. Okay, can I get like a piece of your hair, please? Or do you have like a toenail?
Oh, you have a hangnail I can keep in my pocket?
I'll like bite
I
off.
gotta imagine that Foreign doesn't have any like hair or nails left. Like it's just
They grow back. That's the thing.
Gross.
Yeah, I know.
Overnight, they reappear. Like they grow back normally. Yeah.
I feel like if you get too careless and you like hand out tokens all day long before night comes, that you're just this hairless, toenailless, fingernailless, like toothless individual wandering.
Jesus Christ!
I pull one of the braids out of my coat and hand it off to you.
Okay, once you're inside and you need us to create a distraction that would pull the guards away, just let us know.
can do.
And with that, the two teams begin to form up, plan, and plot on how to get Melody out of the situation she's currently in. And that's where we're going to finish tonight. I will preface this. Next week is a milestone. So have fun with it. So,
don't die.
Don't die.
Waste a milestone by dying.
All right, everyone. Thank you for coming out. Be safe, be kind, and don't forget to play a game. You guys go ahead and linger and we'll chat. Everyone else, good night. We'll see you next week.